friend Vandana Shiva, who will give us a global perspective of what seems probably a little bit provincial, just being Europe. Vandana comes from India, and I thank you so much for driving like hell from Bonn, where there was a meeting of the alternative Nobel laureates today because the Right Livelihood Foundation had its 20th anniversary. Vandana decided not to go to the gala dinner there, but to come to you and express her solidarity with our movement. So thank you very much and welcome, Vandana Shiva.
First to the Deputy Mayor, and thank you for having us here. And you might be the capital of Europe, but by declaring yourself GMO-free, you become also the capital of a larger movement. So thank you so much for joining the GMO-free movement. We all spend so much time fighting the biotechnology industry, fighting their lies, fighting their corruption. We sometimes don't take stock of how much we have achieved. And that's what I'd like to do today, just because I want to congratulate each of you for being who you are and what you do. I got into this issue because in 1987 there was a meeting on biotechnology, and the industry said by the turn of the century, we'll have patented every seed, there'll only be GMOs.
Excuse me.
Yeah? Closer? Okay.
That's the sexy sound, yeah.
That was 87. Most of our seeds are not patented. Most of our seeds and food is not genetically modified. And that's because of you. I remember 1989, the scientific community got together here in Brussels for the first conference on deliberate release. We started to apply our minds on the ecological impact of the deliberate release of GMOs. And it was so clear it would lead to contamination, it would lead to emergence of superpests and superweeds, and from that time to now we see that happening. BT technologies were designed to control pests. They have created superpests. The BT cotton is now resistant to the pink bollworm. And on the basis of our studies, we found there is 13 times more pesticide used in BT cotton in India than in conventional cotton. We've seen what herbicide resistance is doing in terms of superweeds, especially in the US. And we have with us the expert who has just released the impact of Roundup on birth defects. So thank you for every one of you, the scientists, the activists. 1998 was the next watershed. It was a bit like 2010, a bit like this year, where Monsanto thought that by chasing every scientist, by suing farmers like Percy Smizer, by violating laws in India to introduce BT cotton, they would overtake the system. Arpat Putsai's case has created an entire community of scientists who will defend their freedom of knowledge at any cost. It did not silence the scientists, it created a new community. Percy Smizer, who is a fellow alternative Nobel Prize winner and was in Bonn, Percy Smizer is tireless at this age, he and his wife Louis, going everywhere in the world warning farmers that GMOs mean patents, and patents mean absolutely no control of power of these corporations. Patents mean collection of royalty. And it's very interesting. Monsanto has a group of scientists. I shouldn't call them scientists, we should just call them public relations people. But for some reason, even though they're not scientists, they get to publish in the best of scientific journals. The two names that keep coming up are Kaim and Zimmerman, again and again and again. A few years ago, they said Indian farmers who were growing BT cotton were becoming millionaires. Well, Monsanto was extracting 2/3 of the price of the seed from the farmers and had taken the price from 5 rupees for ordinary seed to 3,600 rupees a kilogram for BT cotton. Of that, 2,400 was royalty payment. And it comes from the farmer. Farmers weren't becoming millionaires, they were getting into debt. And indebted farmers started to commit suicide because there was no way they could pay back their debt. You know, we in India believe in reincarnation. So normally, the creator, you can say, I'll do better in my next life. You never commit suicide because there's always another life to sort it out in. But the agents of Monsanto, the agrochemical and seed agents, they come to take your land, and every farmer who has committed suicide the day the land was being taken away by the sales agents of chemical industry, which is now the seed industry. So there's now 200,000 suicides in India. 84% of them got into debt for buying BT cotton. We have a person called Clive James who puts out charts every year, and they keep going like that. He never explains the process for this growth. BT cotton has spread in India, but it's spread because Monsanto has destroyed every alternative. It has destroyed all public sector seed supply. It has destroyed all independent seed company. Every seed company is now a licensee of Monsanto's BT cotton. You might see 100 names, but they're all controlled by that label called Bolgar, which means property of Monsanto. 90% of the seed is now BT cotton in the cotton areas. India used to be a land of 1,500 varieties of cotton. 1,500 varieties of cotton. Gandhi spun freedom on the basis of spinning hand-spun cotton. And you know, every time I've been called as a witness for Jose Bové and his friends who keep uprooting GM trials, I keep reminding the courts that this is exactly what Gandhi did. You know, to spin cloth and get our independence, he would have bonfires of British clothing. No one dies if you burn cloth. No one dies if you uproot an illegal GM field, and it is illegal to the extent the people have not given it permission. The BT cotton story in India has now taken a new turn. Monsanto would like to have the right to fix prices, but one of our governments, Andhra Pradesh, has sued them and said, no, you can't sell seeds at such a high cost, you're killing our farmers. So Monsanto has countersued and said intellectual property is beyond law. You can't tell us what price we fix, we take what we want to. And it's an interesting case. Our foundation is intervening in this case. It's being fought in the courts of Hyderabad. And the legal language is fascinating. Monsanto lawyers say royalty payment and the price of seed have no connection, even though that 2,400 rupees is part of the price. So they can concoct anything. Of course, when they tried with IFPRI, they tried with a report to say there's no connection between farmer suicides and the GM cotton.